Just waiting for a few people to come on. Hello, everybody joining me. I'm just going live really quick for 5-10 minutes on my personal page because I want to go over and break down the speakers that we have at the Portal to Ascension Conference that are coming up. But more than just the speakers, kind of like an expose on the information and the topics that we're going to be discussing. So if you are joining me now, or if you aren't aware, we're putting on a conference, Portal to Ascension. We're putting on a conference on October 5th, 6th, and 7th. It's happening in Irvine, California. It's basically around about a 1,000th event production in the 10 years that we've been producing events. And literally everything that we are and we've put into and we've created and the energy we've cultivated in the 10 years of event production is going into this event. And it's an extremely important event because it ties in many different aspects of conscious awareness. It's not just coming from one angle, especially when it comes from ufology angle and the ufology component to the nuts and bolts research as compared to the consciousness research. So we're actually going to be cultivating this event where we're going to have not only discussing UFOs, extraterrestrials, government cover-ups, what's happened, and what this means for our past and what it means for our future, but also talking about the spiritual aspect of that, the extraterrestrial civilizations, vibration and frequency, quantum physics, the nature of reality, because we are finding out now, and more information is coming out, that this world is a quantum reality, and the spirituality of it all is connected to UFOs and extraterrestrials. So this event, we're really going to be talking about that and bringing forward experience testimonials and experience research, where we're going to be kind of looking at a consensus of what is occurring and what this means for the future of humanity. So that's one aspect, the UFOs and ETs, which is like one of my favorite topics. But the other component, which is something I also love very much, is the ancient history. I was always into ancient history and just history in general, but there was something that did not seem right there. It seemed like kind of off. And when I got into this community and into esoterics and consciousness and realized about the ascension, I started rediscovering our ancient history and where we come from and what this where we come from, what actually happened, and how our history has been rewritten and written over and over and over again by the victors, that the history that we've been told isn't really our true history. And a lot of times, a lot of truth is given to us with a lot of disinformation that kind of paints a picture of what our history could have been, but it's kind of distorted. So now a lot of archaeological evidence is coming out that are exposing a whole different timeline and a whole different trajectory of humanity's evolution. It looks like that we've been on this planet for way longer than we have thought, and modern man with the same abilities as us, the same consciousness as us, or higher levels of consciousness have also existed on this planet. And it looks like that we've been going through these cycles of time. Many of you probably know about this already, the 26,000 year zodiac of us going through the different ages in which we go through an evolution of consciousness and a devolution, and then over and over and over again. And this looks like this is one of the cusps, a 13,000 year cusp of us going from the dark ages into the bronze age. And due to this, not only does this connect us to ancient scriptures throughout the entire world that also talk about this secular time, but this also connects us to the history of our planet and what exactly happened and what civilizations exist on our planet and our true ancestry, who we are, where we came from, and who are the people that came before us, which also, of course, ties into the extraterrestrial question. So some of the speakers that we're going to have that are going to be discussing our ancient history component will be Robert Schoch, who is one of the individuals that has assisted us in bringing out more information in regards to the true timeline and ancient history of Egypt. There's been much speculation as to how old the Sphinx is. Robert Schoch has evidence to suggest that at the turn of the last ice age, around 12,600 years ago, that Atlantis, that was basically the fall of Atlantis, the beginning of Egypt, and the Sphinx in Egypt was created around that time. Other people think that it happened at a different turn of the zodiac. Because one thing that we know, let's talk about ancient Egypt for a second. One thing that we know about ancient Egypt is that, well, the Sphinx in particular, is that the Sphinx was actually facing the constellation of Leo when it was actually constructed, because it had the face of a lion and it was facing the constellation of Leo. The last time the constellation of Leo was right directly in front of the Sphinx, where the Sphinx is situated now, was around 12,600 years ago, or 11,000 BC, which was the turn of the last ice age at the end of Atlantis. However, every 26,000 years, the constellation of Leo is in the same space right above the Sphinx. So some people suggest that the constellation of that the Sphinx is actually older than 13,000 years old, and could be another 26,000 years after that, or another 26,000 years. It could have been at any time the constellation of Leo was up there. We don't have evidence to suggest the actual timeline of ancient Egypt, because all the information and all the data that is collected that they find, and they try to figure out the date through carbon dating. What they don't tell you is you can only carbon date organic matter. The pyramids are not created from organic matter, they're created from rock. So since they cannot actually carbon date the pyramid, what they do is they carbon date different types of material that they find left in the pyramids, in coffins, things like that, like papyrus or clothing. However, that can only be the last thing that was left there by the last civilization. It doesn't mean it was the original people that created it. So they've given us this whole timeline. They've backed it up with evidence. People think that we have scientific evidence in order to suggest the true timeline of ancient Egypt. However, it's completely just force-fed to us and taught to us in our educational systems, in our school systems, without any actual evidence. But now the evidence is coming out to paint a different picture. Robert Schoch is one of the individuals who is really behind this and doing a lot of great work alongside other people like Brian Forster, Graham Hancock, and Brian Forster, who we also work with. So other individuals, we're going to have Billy Carson. Billy Carson has a channel on Gaia and had a channel before Gaia as well, called Forbidden Knowledge, and does little documentaries on amazing information in regards to our ancient history. Then we also have Trisha McCannon, and I'm just going to pull up the websites right here. Now let me take a little pause real quick and see if there's anybody actually on with me right now. Say hi to you guys. So have Trisha McCannon. Yep. What's up, Ronald? I see you right there. I'm just going to pull up the websites right here. Now let me take. Okay, so I'm just gonna do, thanks for being with me here, guys. So I'm just like kind of going through each of these people, and it's really not about the individual, it's about the information. But I'm showcasing the people that we're bringing together, because the people that we brought together is a wide spectrum of conscious information that from every single level of empowerment, whether it's ancient history, an angel workshops, self-empowerment practical tools to utilize in your relationships, sound healing, energy healing, information on extraterrestrials. All of this information is designed to do the same exact thing. And what is that? It's designed to empower us and give us the tools so that we can make informed decisions about our future. And why it's so important to release information about our ancient past is because we have done things in our ancient past that we can learn from now, one. And then secondly, it gives us a sense of being grounded into something other than this arrogance and the forgetfulness of the moment that we're currently in. Knowing our ancient past, who we are, our ancestors, where they came from, why they came from there, can only benefit us. Plus, it can only create unity. There may be some institutions that may need to collapse in order for unity to prevail, right? Some may say that one of those things could be organized religion. Organized religion in the aspect of control and fear, you know, holding people like that. Us knowing where we came from and that we all came from the same thing and we all sprouted out of it, and how these religions formed in the first place can really, really benefit us. And when I first got into doing all what I'm doing now, my original reason, my original purpose to get into Portal to Ascension and do what I'm doing now was to find the root of all religion. Like, I was raised Hindu. Never really believed in anything, but did everything my parents said. I didn't know, you know, I just did what a good Indian kid should do, you know. And the whole entire time, like, when I would pray to God, I would just pray because my parents would pray. I would just say things like, oh, please help my family, the things that my parents told me to pray for. I didn't realize the grandioseness of everything that, you know, that came later. And what I understood later when I started trying to figure out vibration and frequency, and when I came across videos on extraterrestrials and quantum physics, I started drawing parallels to religion and seeing all these similarities in the science of how the universe works. And now that this information is coming out, it's really bringing us back to understanding these ancient civilizations and what they knew and what kind of technology they had, especially when it comes to quantum physics, sound frequency, and the megalithic structures that these individuals made. So as what I was saying was that I got into this to find out the root of our religion. I wanted to find out why are there so many religions on the planet? How come all these religions have so many similarities? Why are we all focused on what the differences are between these religions, which happen to be the things that the man had actually put in there? But why don't we focus on all the universal truths in these scriptures that say the exact same thing? Not only exact same universal truths as in, like, you know, love each other, love your brother, don't kill whoever, but universal even scriptures that say the same words, whether it's the Sumerian text and the Bible, the Epic of Gilgamesh, and the same words there, or if it's the Rig Veda, which is the Vedic text, in comparison to John 1:1 in the Old Testament, where in the Rig Veda it says, in the beginning was Brahma, and Brahma was God. And obviously in John 1:1 it says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. So the text is verbatim. Why aren't we thinking about why it's verbatim and who gave who what information? Why are we focused on that, the fact that everything is so compartmentalized? That was what really sparked my curiosity in 2000, 2001. Led me down this whole entire rabbit hole of figuring out ancient civilizations, ascension, consciousness, extraterrestrials, you know. So part of what we're attempting to cultivate here through all these aspects and all these individuals is the realization of how we all interconnected, all have the same backstory, and we all came out of the same source. Whether it's a physical source, whether we all came out from the same ethnic group, a civilization, or extraterrestrial race, or the fact that we're all from the same spiritual source, which would be source itself. So we're going to take a little looky right here at Robert Schoch's website, and I'm just going to share this onto my group, Portal to Ascension group, so that we can get some more people on. Okay, so here is Robert Schoch, and he is one of the headliners. He's going to be presenting on Saturday evening at the Portal to Ascension Conference. And I just want to kind of take a look at different aspects of what he talks about. And I do recommend, if you want to look into him even more, go check out his interview with Joe Rogan that he did just a couple of months ago. It's on YouTube. It's really amazing. So you can see he does a lot on the Great Sphinx. He has a whole article on his website here talking about the Great Sphinx. Solar-induced dark age, something new that he probably did. Okay, the Great Sphinx, she was the lioness. So Mehit, here we go. This is pretty cool right here, guys. Let's see if I can get this image up. So this just backs up the story that I said earlier about the fact that the face on the Sphinx was not a human face, even though later it was actually made into a human face. The reason why it was made into a human face is the pharaoh at the time wanted to convert it to his face. But before that, in ancient times, it was the face of the lion, and you can see the image of the lion here. And that goes into the theory, which I think is probably a fact, that the individuals that took down the face of the lion and put up a different face weren't actually the original Egyptians, that the pre-dynastic and the dynastic Egyptians that we talk about 2000, 3000 BC up until whenever seem to have maybe been different civilizations that inhabited the area where the Egyptians were originally, or maybe the commoners that just took over after the gods had left. But before that, it was a really highly advanced civilization. There was a good 3,000 years or so where there was some questionable activities happening in Egypt that looked like they weren't actually that advanced at all. And those kind of stories come back from around 3000, 2000 BC. However, if you go back to when they say the Sphinx was up around 9600 BC, 13,000 years ago, that's 6,600 years earlier than the Egypt that they're informing us about. So yes, this civilization could have existed in that area for another 7,000 to 9,000 years and then devolved and then just become this, or within that time, you know, they may have left, their gods or their advanced technology that existed may have left, and other individuals probably came and inhabited the pyramids too, and attempted to claim for themselves to be the original gods of Egypt. So here we go, just a little bit right there. So I'm just going to skip him over, and his talk is going to be on the Sphinx in Egypt. And here is let's just do this side really quick. A lot of you probably know Alan Steinfeld. So Alan actually had a show called New Realities TV that was on an actual TV station, I think on the East Coast, maybe in the 90s, 2000s, early 2000s. And now he's on YouTube. But Alan has interviewed many of the amazing people that are doing a huge impact on the planet, but also has been like the interview for many of these people for their first interview ever. He literally has been doing this for so long that a lot of individuals have come to him, and he's been assisting them in getting their information out through all these interviews. He's going to be emceeing at our event. Alan is one of the most amazing people ever. Love this guy so much. He's an extremely good friend and really huge backer of Portal to Ascension on every level. So he's going to be there, have a lot of fun, and also interviewing people there and emceeing. No, that's his website. Now we're going to do Jason Quitt. Jason is a really awesome guy. We just did a webinar with him called Forbidden Knowledge on Portal to Ascension. You can go to portaltoascension.org, go to the archives, and check out his webinar. And he's actually up and coming in the circuit of UFO conferences for the last year to a year and a half, and his information is really profound. Plus, he's a great person and just high vibration, and just you can just feel the energy from him. So I'm just going to read a little bit about him right here, since I'm just like hanging out with you guys and just chilling. So in my early 20s, this is from Jason. I started having terrifying experiences of sleep paralysis. Jason would be awakened by a presence in his own room, but he would be frozen and unable to wake himself. These experiences started happening more and more frequently, and he started to become more conscious of what's going on. One night, he was trying very hard to shake himself out of this paralysis, but something happened he wasn't expecting. He shook himself so hard that he popped out of his body, had his first out-of-body experience. As Jason came out of his body, he could see himself lying in bed, frozen, and there was a very tall being standing at the end of his bed. He knew this was a genuine experience and was beyond his comprehension. And from that moment on, his perception had shifted, of the world has shifted. Ever since then, his first out-of-body experience, he found that under the right conditions, he could leave his body and start to explore these new dimensions that have been open to him. As he started to venture into these new worlds, many different beings, guides, masters, energies started to come to his life. They would often wake him up and take him out of his body on journeys to many places and timelines to show and teach many new things. He was no longer the same person after experiencing these journeys. And these journeys, these beings gave him specific teachings to follow so he may live comfortably in the world. They said that most important thing is to heal yourself, and the only thing he could affect change in others. Then he could affect change in others. And under their teachings and guidance, he sought out many teachers and masters to receive wisdom and healing. Since then, he has been given many powerful healing techniques and abilities to assist himself and others on many paths of healing and enlightenment. So, Jace, this is pretty cool. Like, I want to hear, because I've heard a few of his stories and I've heard some stuff that he said on our webinar, but if he has been actually taken to these places and gone to many different dimensions and many worlds, I wonder, first of all, how many he has gone to, and then secondly, what kind of experiences he's had on what these worlds look like, what the beings look like, what the planet looks like, what the culture is, how the entertainment is. So he's a wealth of information. Jason's going to also be a headliner. He's headlining Sunday evening, October 7th, at the Portal to Ascension Conference. So boom, there goes Jason. Trisha McCannon. Trisha McCannon is one of the speakers that we've had on our platform the most. She is a wealth of information, whether it's information on UFOs and UFOs in the world today, or UFOs in the world in ancient civilizations, or if it's Mayan prophecy, Mayan calendar, astrology. Let me see if I can see a drop down here that maybe lists some of her stuff. See, right here, we just did an Ancient Civilizations tour with her, which was pretty cool. So yeah, we've done these events with her before. She teaches on Mary Magdalene, the return of the goddess, the divine feminine. She's been on our divine feminine conference, both of them. We've done a workshop on Mary Magdalene and the divine Sophia. These are our events right here that we've done in the past. Nostradamus and Hopi prophecy. And then we got here Anunnaki workshop, Atlantis and the New Earth, divine feminine conference, Antarctica and advanced civilizations, Mary Magdalene, divine Sophia. Those are all programs that we actually did on our platform. UFOs in the world today, fairies and little people, giants and extraterrestrials, strange archaeology. We are going to be doing a presentation with her at our conference called Evidence for an Advanced Pyramid Culture. And this is going to go across the world looking at pyramids, the technologies, the ley lines, the mapping out of it, the mathematical equations that are included in it, the uncovering of the new pyramids in Antarctica, lots of images that you haven't seen of Antarctica yet. And she's going to be presenting that, which is extremely amazing because it's really a bridge to not just the ancient civilization component, but the extraterrestrials and the UFOs. So Trisha McCannon will be there as well. She's presenting on Saturday. And here's our website, guys. So look, we have 26 days, 12 hours, 27 minutes, and 5 seconds left. So get your tickets now. And here are the headliners: Jason Quitt, Robert Schoch, Grant Cameron, ufologist, Trisha McCannon, Alan Steinfeld, Billy Carson. Topics. We really want to cultivate an experience for this event in the fact that it's not just going to be presentations and information. There's going to be a lot of music, sound, fun, entertainment. Here are our MCs: Robert Parala, Jonah Bolt, one of my really good friends from Starseed International, Starseed Radio, Alan Steinfeld, and Michelle Anderson. Some of the musicians and the music you're going to experience. Dr. Dream is going to do a 333 Tibetan bowl galactivation. And what that means is he is going to be facilitating an experience with 333 Tibetan bowls and over 12 individuals playing these bowls while we're all sitting in the center of them. And this is going to happen Saturday night. Peter Sterling is going to be playing harp throughout the weekend. Amazing harpist, world-renowned harpist. Won an award for #1 New Age Album of the Year. I don't know, multiple times, but at least for 1 year. Torquem G, he synthesizes 432 hertz frequency vibrations and epic sound experiences. He's going to be there throughout the weekend. Urgent Kaur, she does sacred sound journeys with gongs. And then Evan Perman plus many other individuals are going to be there playing the didgeridoos, because didgeridoo is one of our favorite instruments, and it's just going to be blasting all the time, didgeridoos everywhere. We're going to be at the Atrium Hotel in Irvine, California. Here's the address. If you want a discount on rooms, call and use the code PTA for your rooms. It's $125 a night, which is really great for the whole entire area over there, right in Irvine. And some of the topics, full disclosure, and more. All right, guys, so I'm just going to end this in a second here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to play Grant Cameron's video of him talking about modern music UFO connection. So not only is Grant Cameron like one of the foremost researchers in UFOs in general, and the #1 researcher in regards to the White House presidents and governments in general for the most part, but specifically the US government connection to UFOs, UFO disclosure, the whole back history on that. He is really bringing out a lot of this information where we are actually doing maybe 4 or 5 free events with him a year just to give updates on what's going on in regards to the disclosure process. But he also talks about UFOs and consciousness, and he also talks about UFOs in the music industry and modern music industry and the connection that musicians had with extraterrestrials. So I'm going to play this video here and then we'll call it a day.
I was good friends with Chris Bledsoe.
Yeah.
Chris Bledsoe is a famous abductee from North Carolina who had $20 million business he and his son and 3 contractors have this encounter where there's like 14 UFOs in an hour. They're dropping down. There's in front of the road. There's an alien running and trying to grab on the back of the truck. They get home. There's aliens in the yard. There's aliens, small aliens, big aliens, and his world just came apart. He was a Pentecostal. Nobody would talk to him. He was ostracized. He sat in a room for 9 months, whatever. So I was good friends with this guy. I happened to be doing the citizens hearing thing, and I went to talk to him. And that's when I had the experience with the dog, with the bleeding dog, with the blood shooting out the neck. And it's kind of a long story. But anyway, so I knew him, and he phones me up one day. Or no, he emails me. And he said, I just want to let you know that I was told by the Guardians, he called them the Guardians, that the message is in the music. And I'm going, whatever. Who cares? Like, I'm not into music. Who cares? And he mentioned 2 songs. And this is how this thing drags you in. He mentioned 2 songs. One was Kashmir by Led Zeppelin, which I still have not listened to the whole song. I still, to this day, haven't. I've listened to parts of it and stuff. And he said that the message is in that one, and that's been used for a number of UFOs, used for at least 2 UFO-related movies. It's in the movie. That one, but it was the second one he got me. He said, Neil Young, After the Gold Rush. And I said, Neil Young? Are you kidding me? Neil Young? And I'm going, he's from Winnipeg. I'm from Winnipeg. Like, what's the chances? And I'm thinking, oh, that's pretty cool. So I checked the Neil Young one, and After the Gold Rush.
I saw the Silver Spaceships.
Yeah, and the whole song, if you look at the song, Dolly, a number of experiencers, just a pile of experiences. Smith, what's her first name? She did Gloria in the 70s. She sang it. There's been there's been maybe 5 musicians who are experiencers who have sang this song. But anyway, I looked at the song, and the song is basically the environmental message. It basically says, we're treating the world like a gold rush, and when the gold is gone, it's going to become a ghost town. And the silver seeds, the flying saucers, are going to come down and take the chosen ones to another planet. And now we identify the experiencers as the chosen ones. And they all talk about this rapture. A lot of experiencers, when you talk to them, will talk about this rapture. There's going to be this rapture, and these people are going to be taken. He said this in 1968. And when Dolly Parton, who sang, and Dolly Parton sings a song about abduction, Dolly Parton asked him, what's it mean? She's doing the song with Linda Ronstadt and somebody else. She said, what does it mean? Neil, what's the thing behind it? He said, I have no idea. I was totally stoned when I wrote it. I have no idea. Each verse may mean something different. So he said, no, I was stoned when I wrote the song. I have no idea what it means. But it was that dragged me into it. So then I started looking at it, and then I came across a book that was written by Michael Luckman in New York City. And he wrote a book called Alien Rock. And it has the connection to the alien thing. And it's 320 pages, and it goes through all the musicians, Elvis Presley's interest, just the whole litany of them. And I started looking in it, and I go like, wow. So I start looking at these different things, and I was more into the aspect of not so much how many musicians are interested, but why these musicians got involved with this thing. And I started picking up different bands and different things, and some of the major ones. Like you mentioned, Colin Andrews. I talked to Colin Andrews. Now, Colin Andrews, because he was a big lecturer on the world circuit, he would lecture all over the world. And he tells stories of 5 different bands. Renaissance was one, Yes was one, Moody Blues was one. All these bands that came to him and said, we're influenced. We're influenced by this, and we've got lyrics coming in here. And the Moody Blues was one of the key ones that he mentioned. And the Moody Blues had told him, and he said the Moody Blues came to him, Mike Pinder from the Moody Blues and the lead guitarist, and they said, we'd like to talk to you after your lecture. So he said, okay. So they go for dinner. And Colin Andrews says they're sitting there, and he says, you can tell they're not making this story up, because Pinder says something, and then the guitarist says, bang, boom, boom. They're telling this story together, and they're talking about before they were born, that they remember before they were born, and they were on a ship with some elder-type beings, and they were told, you're going to be musicians in this next lifetime, and you're going to put lyrics into your songs that will elevate the consciousness of the earth. And he said, tell them how we got back in the earth. Tell them how we came back in the earth. And so here you have this major band, sold 50 million records, and they were clearly abducted. The Moody Blues talk about their abduction in 1967. It's all over the internet about how they were coming from Manchester, a concert in Manchester, going into London, England. They were missing 3 hours time. And so he tells me that story. And the other one he told me that has been told by John Anderson, who was the lead for Yes. John Anderson told him the story, and John Anderson's been interviewed about UFOs numerous times and says, yes, all music and all art comes from the Pleiades. and he gets into this kind of stuff. And yes, he's had a lot of UFO experiences, but he told Colin Andrews, he's told 4 other people that I know personally. He's never told it on the record, but he said he was in Las Vegas doing a concert, and he was in Caesar's Palace in his room, and an alien came through the wall and gave him information. So here I have another guy, 50 million albums or whatever, and I started looking at these connections, and I got like some of the biggest. John Lennon is a prime example. Everybody knows John Lennon had a sighting in August of 1974, and he talks about, he's on video, and he's talking about how this thing goes,
there naked,
going down the East River, and he calls May Pang. She's in the shower. She comes out. She's naked. They're standing on the deck, and he said it was so close he could hit it with a rock. And his glasses weren't on, and he said he could still see it even without his glasses. And it was there, and it had big, huge marquee light bulbs on it, which I always bring up to people because people say, "Oh, you know, like they've got the lights on." I say, "Why do UFOs have lights on them?" So you can see them. You don't need big marquee light bulbs on the side of a craft to fly through outer space. It was there for John Lennon to see. So he sees this object, but then when May Pang starts telling the story, he puts it in an album, one of his albums in 1974. He puts this thing,
Strange Days Indeed.
I saw a UFO in New York, and nobody cares. And he puts it in, and he puts it on the cover of the album and stuff. Yeah. So he's into it. But when May Pang tells the story, she tells the story, and she says, we were standing there, and they were on the penthouse on the Dakota where they lived, and there was a stairway down to the balcony below them, and the people, she said, they were always on the balcony below them, and they would talk, they'd come out the balcony. She said they're both naked, they're standing there, and they're screaming and yelling. This goes on for about 10 minutes, and she's trying to take photographs with a camera, and none of the photographs turn out. And she says, during her interview, she says, and I wondered why those people on the balcony, they're always there. Why they didn't come out because we were yelling and screaming. And she said the other strange thing was I looked out over, and all the apartments were vacant. And a thought popped into her head. It's Friday night. They've all gone to the Hamptons. So we contacted her and we said, don't you think this is a little strange? Everybody in New York went to the Hamptons? And she said, yes, I realize it's strange. And what that is, it's called the Oz effect. And if you get people who are followed in a car, the UFO's behind the car, and they're racing, and they're trying to, and the thing comes up beside the car, and they're trying to go. I always stop them. I say, hey, let me ask you a question. Is there anybody else on the road? And they'll always say the same thing. You know, that was the strangest part. There was nobody on the road. And then I say, is it a busy road? Oh yeah, the one was LA freeway. And all the cars just disappeared. And it was that's.
All right, guys. So you can watch the whole entire video of that on YouTube if you want. Grant Cameron, UFOs and Music. Check it out. And I'm just going to show you guys the graphic one last time here. Here it is. Portal to Ascension Conference, October 5th, 6th, and 7th, 2018, 26 days from now, Atrium Hotel in Irvine, 3 full days of amazing presentations, amazing sound healing, amazing connections, and just a lot of fun. AscensionConference.com. If you guys can't attend all 3 days, then you can just come one day. It's $99 for one day. And if you're somewhere in the world where you can't travel out here, we're live streaming the entire thing. Whether you attend live or via live stream, you get to have all the footage for the entire conference included in whatever price you pay for the live stream or coming in person. So if you come and pay $222 and attend live, you also get every single video presentation in your archives on our website, so you can view back forever, because we want this information to last for years to come and to come out for years to come. We have a lot of media outlets that are coming, alternative media, a couple of mainstream outlets, where we want them to interview people and to connect with each other so that we can create so much awareness. There's gonna be a lot of amazing people in one space, so we can create so much awareness, so much content, and then just for the next couple of years, the information coming out from this event just keeps going out and assisting more people and getting out to more and more people, so that we can make this shift in consciousness and create heaven on earth. So thank you all so much for spending a little time with me here. And I just had to download. So if you are an attendee of the conference already, I am sending you this via email, and this video is for you guys so you can get more information about what you're going to experience at the event as well. So I'm also going to throw it up on YouTube. And if you are on YouTube and you watch this the whole entire way up until the end, click the notification bell right below this video, because if you click this notification bell, you get updates on the videos we upload, and we are uploading a wide range of clips and webinars all the time on a range of information that is like so expansive and so diverse that there's something for everyone. So please support us. Please click the notification bell in YouTube, youtube.com/portal to ascension. All right, everyone. Thank you all so much for being with me. I love you very much. And I'll see you in 26 days. Okay, bye.